The San Francisco 49ers recently made headlines by trading for Bryce Huff from the Eagles, but I really don't think they are done yet. And I do think there could be more additions coming to the 49ers defense. Now, it's not official, and we'll have to wait and see. But when you look at the 49ers' current roster construction, you can see that there are still some potential holes. And one of the things that you don't want is heading in to training camp with being kind of thin at a certain position group. I think back to the 2021 season, the 49ers were ultra thin at cornerback, and it absolutely reared its head all throughout the season. That was when they had Drake Kirkpatrick and, um, what's his name? I always forget his name. I don't know why I do this every single time. Josh Norman. Thank you, Brad. Um, but you don't want to go into the season thin at a position. And when you look at the 49ers safety room and you look at the two injuries that have occurred to who the guys are projected to be their starting safety in Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa, we found out right after the draft in a surprise that Malik Mustafa tore his ACL in the final game of the season against the Arizona Cardinals. And then we found out from Kyle Shanahan in OTAs that Jair Brown had a procedure on his ankle, and he will also be out. And he will be out until training camp. With Malik, he could miss up to somewhere in the range of half the season. So that's tough because heading into this offseason, 49er fans were very confident that Malik Mustafa was going to be able to be a starter and build on his pretty stellar rookie season. But if he is going to miss half that year, that presents some challenges because you can also not guarantee that he is going to be fully ready to go when he comes back. So the 49ers currently right now have starting safeties in OTAs that are Richie Grant and Jason Pinnock. Although, while I think Jason Pinnock is underrated and Richie Grant, I do believe, is talented, we'll have to see. The 49ers did draft Marquise Siegel in this past draft in a late round to come in and be a safety as well. They also have George Odom and Jalen Mahoney. But I really do think the 49ers should target some other guys. And when I look at some guys that are currently available, you have some pretty solid names of guys who have a lot of starting experience. I think the name at the top of the list for most fans is Justin Simmons, the former third-round draft pick out of the Denver Broncos, or with the Denver Broncos in 2016 out of Boston College. He's 6'2", 202 pounds, runs a 4.61. He's only 31 and a half years old. He's definitely, obviously on the other side of his career, but just last season, he played over 1,000 snaps with Atlanta. Now, I don't think it was his best season, but he was still pretty solid with a brand new team. And I really do think that the 49ers could benefit from having a veteran presence like that in the room. Obviously, Talanoa Hufanga left in free agency, and the 49ers could use a guy like this to come in with their young kind of safety core. I mean, even Pinnock and Richie Grant aren't that old either. They're 25, I believe, 25, 26. So, when you look at Justin Simmons and what he's bringing to the table, he's bringing a wealth of knowledge, played over 8,000 snaps throughout his career. So he's got a ton of experience. And to me, he's been one of the most underrated safeties in the league. He's 32 interceptions over his career, 34 pass breakups over his career. And he's just been solid, 531 tackles in his time in the NFL. So I do think that he could potentially be a good option. Now, the question with him is, will he be okay, maybe not starting the full season? Again, if he comes in and he plays well right out the gate, then it's going to be hard to unseat him whether it's Jair Brown or Malik Mustafa. But he could have the opportunity to start right away, and that could be something that he sees as a benefit. Another name is Julian Blackman, safety for the Indianapolis Colts. He is a former third round pick as well. He was drafted in 2020 out of Utah. 6 foot, 200 pounds, only 26 years old. He will turn 28 this year, but you know, a little bit younger than Justin Simmons and has been pretty decent in the league. Now he's got about 4,000 total snaps logged, so about half of what Simmons has done. But he's still produced at a pretty respectable level. He has 10 interceptions over his career, 9 PBUs, 243 total tackles. He could be a guy that comes in and helps the team right away because again he's played a lot, over 1,000 snaps with Indy last year. He's so far been played his whole career with Indianapolis, and I'm kind of surprised that he didn't really get a ton of looks in free agency and that he's actually still kind of available. So he could be an interesting name. And there are other guys like you, if you want to go more of a veteran route, like a Quandre Diggs, who's 32, 5'9, 200 pounds, former 6th round pick. I mean, the 49ers know him decently well, playing in Seattle since 2019. Last season, he played with the Tennessee Titans. It looked like he was kind of in a rotational role. Actually, no, he looks like he got hurt after week 9. So he only played week 1 through 9, no week 5 appearance. And so dealing with a little bit of injury, it looks like. But he could be an option. Some other names that are currently out there as well: Jordan Whitehead, Marcus Williams, Jordan Poyer, Von Bell, Chuck Clark, Jalen Mills, Marcus May, John Johnson, who was with the Rams and the 49ers know well. Obviously Sean Gibson, who was with the 49ers last year. Jamal Adams is out there. Would they take a shot on him? Adrian Amos. Guys like that. So there are some, I think, quality names out there at the safety position. So I think in the same kind of logic that we saw the 49ers make a move to bring in a situational pass rusher, maybe they go out and get veteran safety depth. Maybe that would be a solid option for them. Just again to continue to bolster their roster heading into training camp to make sure they have as many options available, because again, more injuries could occur, knock on wood. Obviously you don't want to see that happen, but you also don't want to see a situation where your backups get injured and then you're really kind of reeling for depth. And we saw that when I referenced that 2021 season. The starters that they had planned for that season had gotten hurt and or were hurt, and they just got thin really, really quickly. So all that being said, um, obviously Justin Simmons would be at the top of the list. He would be a guy that would come in and start right away. But there are other names, and I'm curious to know if you guys would be interested in any of those names, or if you think that the 49ers should go after a safety in free agency. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.